It's funny. I was thinking of doing one more run after this one so that I can do the previous most difficult achievement in the game, I think, before the update, which I ended up doing by accident alongside the new supposedly most difficult achievement. I still don't know what to think about that last run. This is shortly after that. Just looked through things and started uploading the last video. But yeah, before the update, there were two achievements called Overkill 1 and Overkill 2. Overkill 2 was for triggering the final phase of Mantle Worm during its second phase. Overkill 1 is for triggering it during its first phase. And I did that. And it's specifically funny because during testing, I picked the new zipper when I went to see how the mantle worm patterns were changed in the update, which was kind of late into the development of the update. And the changes are mostly patterns that can blindside you if you're standing in the wrong spot or if you happen to be moving when they start and you can get hit almost immediately. Which I think is sensible. But boy, I sure didn't get to show much. Even during testing, I ended up doing Overkill 1 by accident because the new zipper, the zipper that you all can play with, was so strong. And I think it was, maybe it still is messed up. I haven't tried it since then. It just wiped out Mantleworm's second life bar in one go, and I couldn't believe it, and it was pretty quick on the first life bar swell. This felt very similar with the pea shooter. I know I had a total of triple damage, but even still, it doesn't feel like that should have happened. I guess the increased fire rate combined with the triple damage is just nuts. So yeah, I think that's pretty much every notable thing. Still wondering about the 3 hidden achievements. Haven't gotten any of them. But I should also explain, before the update, there was just a command line in place of the database here. And you could type different commands into it, and that's how you could access the original hard mode called Black Coffee. I think it had 4 effects that you can enable individually, but enabling all 4 was its own command called Black Coffee. Enemies fire revenge bullets, you take double damage, and the other 2 effects escape me, but they weren't as big of a deal. I think one of them was related to POW. I did do Black Coffee back in the day. But the other thing was that in the command line you could find bits of lore that implied that someone was monitoring the planet. Something like that. I don't know if Neo was planning ahead. Maybe the idea was different back then, but now, well, there's going to be a whole lot of reading. If you want to just get to the ending, check the chapters, I suppose. So, System Help Manual. Alright, this is what I read earlier. You can fast forward through this. But yeah, I read this at the end of the previous part. And now it's checked off. I guess it's also worth noting this new database. I spent such a long time with it that I think it inspired Neo. Maybe solely because of how long it took me to add these check marks to show that you've read an entry before, and to gray out the keywords you've already searched. Because, yeah, I don't know how long, maybe I spent an hour fiddling with this until I found what I was supposed to. Note for Looper. Welcome, Looper. Well done finding your way inside Worm's mind. My other strand has given you his help well. Even though he may not remember who he was, his view of Carcina was sharp, and let him find you. There are many memories relevant to you here, formed by you long ago. Much like me, you exist in many times and places at once. The cephalopods were like a hive mind, decentralized and yet uniform in their ruthlessness. But something interrupted their gestalt and shattered them into fragments you see in Carcina this very cycle. There is a way out, though. Look for the moment of first contact, the earliest entry in the database. Take your time and be thorough. You can find a pathway forward. Or fish. So I was definitely thorough, I can say that much. What to go with next? You can see that there are different keywords when you mouse over each entry. Where to begin? I could go with Carcina. If you know what you're looking for, you can just directly enter it and skip this whole thing, which is kind of nice. I ended up doing that at some point. So what comes up with Carcina? Oh, just that. Fair enough. Or fish would be interesting, though. Oh. Oh, maybe it wasn't what I was thinking. That's interesting. Okay, but first, maybe this. Oh, that's a lot. Call data arrays. Lattice. I forget if the portraits were here when I read this for the first time. I've been experimenting with that idea we workshopped of using photos to help the marrow to remember whatever you're asking it to shape. The first photos you sent me seem to be working well for common fish, like rustlets and finfish. And today I managed to get marrow to shape my first ruby coral. Oh, congratulations. You're a little engineer indeed. I am. I've tried to use some of my drawings of breeds of coral to create more variety in my garden, but it's never been able to pin down the species I'm trying to go for. Once I send the photo devices to other members of my clan, I should be able to get actual photos of those other species for the marrow to replicate. I see. In the meantime, you might have to go for something more stylized, Coraline. Your attention to detail often loses the big picture. You might be right. How annoying. Now, I want to know, though. Did you have cameras back then, Asteria? We did. And me and Ray liked experimenting with the technology. I know you're a traditionalist, but it's impossible to overstate how much photos change things. Oarfish never liked being photographed, though. Likely for the same reasons he never chose a name for himself. That's true. If you photographed yourself and Mara was able to make a perfect copy of you, that would be pretty creepy. Right, Asteria? Asteria? Let me know when the new shipments arrive. Alright, talk to you later, Asteria. It was certainly creepy when Chimera did something like that. I'm curious about this. I didn't see this before. Oarfish. Huh. I guess I could test Steam screenshots, because maybe I can... Oh. Huh. Well, the overlay works. But I didn't take a screenshot. I could always just take it from the video. This definitely has something to do with the, more messed up Maybe this is the full thing. And I need to put together some of the weird stuff Chimera was saying and the fragmented things that Oarfish was saying to piece all of that lore. I assume about his species and what they were like before they disappeared, I presume. In any case, it's just lore, but I am curious. Yeah, maybe I'll go through these first, so... That's the conversation I just saw, so this is different. Relays to Lattice. Hello, Asteria. Thank you for setting some time aside for this meeting. Hello, Jin. Yes, what is the matter of discussion? I'm sure you've heard about the Divine Relay project. Of course. Well, the crew of menders I've got working on it have been looking into methods of neural shielding for the eels involved. When I asked around, Ray mentioned you had some knowledge on my... Wait, why are you messing me up with a pun again, Jin? On myelin sheaths? What I know is limited. The glitches turned most of the myelin... Oh, okay. Now I get it. Damn it, Jin. Turned most of the myelin and lattice to crystal a long time ago. I've tried to study it, but it's difficult to draw experimental conclusions when most of the electrical activity in lattice has been rerouted to relays. And transporting any of that myelin is a task I am ill-equipped to perform. Well, what about documentation? There was some of it in the database, but most was haphazard and incomplete. From my memory, most of it was passed down through signed tradition, which your tribe opted to abandon for your electrical spines. Hysteria. I'm just being factual. Jin, why are you asking me these questions? Why has Ray not helped you with this? Or your clan elders? Hysteria, the elders are staunchly against the Divine Relay. To the elders who are old enough to remember a time before spines, all of this is an abomination. And Ray wants work to be going faster. When I bring safety up, she outlines all of the parts of the plan that are still unfinished and the consequences of delaying. I'm sorry, but I don't think I can help you anymore. There are too many moving parts, too many questions, and not enough time. Please, you have to have an answer. Jin, I was desperate too, and look where that got me. Stuck on a dying planet, alone. Save your oxygen. Stop now. No, there has to be a way. There has to be some way to make it work. If you insist. Now, what next? I guess the Divine Relay is something. There is so much of this. This is part of the reason I wanted to split it into multiple parts. Could go for the Divine Relay next, sure. Oh, that's it. Yeah, some of these keywords are not too useful. Electrical activity. The nest has unique amounts of electrical activity in its abyssal layers, as well as above black floor. Relays in particular has a sizable population of eels that appear to use these electrical fields to feed, navigate, and connect. Although social, these animals primarily mimic signals and are subject to the shifting of the electrical currents over time. You would recommend minimizing interactions with these non-sapient life forms, as they have proved detrimental to your progress. Well, there's an instance of sapient. I forgot about that. The currents the eels use also appear to go through black floor, which have led some species of eel down there as well, although in fewer numbers. Again, this electrical activity likely has something to do with the planet's magnetic field. The poles are misaligned to the planet's rotation, intensifying planet-wide currents. That seems a bit clinical. Another call, arrays to relays. Yes, who is this? This is Coraline. I want to file a... Jin, the scavengers have been zapping my chum and tearing up the land by the farms. It's not even a glitch spot. They won't leave even after I tried asking them. I can't reach Ray. I don't want to chase them off with our defense system. It's just awful. Please get them out of arrays. Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry. I know they can be so unruly. You know they just get starved for fines, though. It can be pretty bleak out there. Yeah, but that doesn't excuse them just tearing up others' property. You're right. It doesn't. I think I know a way we can fix this. Have them behave a little more civilized. You help your family run a chum processing plant near the outskirts of arrays, right? Close to where the site is. Yes, I do. At this plant, you process chum as food to be sold to other lands in the area. It's what that particular, I assume, does that go off screen? Huh. What that particular spot specializes in. I guess I caught another small thing. There's so much text here, it's understandable. If I were to help you in managing that facility, I could package rations directly for the eels so they could eat on the go without having to hunt on their own. Chum that are eaten were going to be eaten anyway. The scavengers don't starve. Problem solved. I'll even compensate you for the cost of the process. How does that sound? That sounds pretty reasonable, actually. I'll think on it. Excellent. We should get drinks and talk sometime. If you do, it'll be on the house. Oh, thanks, Jin. I guess since Black Floor got brought up, I'm kind of curious. I kind of remember. But whenever a term cropped up in one of these entries, the keyword is... If I hadn't seen the term before, the keyword would be the next thing I search. Lattice Project. Worm has been outfitted with the ability to shape matter, but this capacity remains untested. A testing suit can be developed to address this. For basic functionality, you want to test its ability to create cubic fluorite and create a large-scale lattice to evaluate consistency and precision. The site allocated for this is Black Floor, which has been chosen for its low density of organic life forms. After cubes and other primitives are tested, you'll move on to concavity, wireframes, and interlocking meshes. Metals, plastics, and polymers will also need to be shaped and verified. Only then can spacefaring and high-power equipment be shaped and the project deemed successful. Shaped. Interesting phrasing. Should read this as well. Black Floor Survey. Black Floor sits right above the nest's crust and houses significant hydrothermal activity. Large swaths of basal matter feed off of the vents that secrete chemical mixtures from the mantle. However, much like South Shelf, there are also large subsections of its area that are largely empty. Because these are close to worm, they will be ideal for conducting performance tests while it is still being initialized. Maybe South Shelf next, going by the same. Like, that's the first mention of it, so what is it? Subsistence Array Survey. As with other planets, an implementation of a subsistence arrays module is required. Although you would have liked for the provided energy reserves to be sufficient for the trip, in the case of an emergency where your reserves would be depleted, a guide was established for making use of organic matter on alien planets. The coral fields at North Shelf were found to have sufficient basic nutrients, hydrocarbons, alkanes, amines, I think, silicates, to synthesize the necessary biochemicals for your survival. Maybe I'm feeling slightly sleepy, but I think I should be able to do this. Reading such a huge amount of text might put me to sleep, but that would be a first. Catching me dozing off on recording. You plan to dispose of the waste products at the South Shelf, which is largely barren. A sustainable waste site is not necessary given the temporary nature of the project. Again, from what point of view is that? And the South Shelf survey. South Shelf sits above the abyssal plain of the nest, sloping downwards into the deep as you approach the edge. In contrast to North Shelf, where there is abundant biomass, South Shelf appears to be largely devoid of life. Only roaming scavengers feed on the clouds of marine snow that drift high above the shelf. This absence of fauna seems to be due to oxygen hypoxia, or otherwise a lack of oxygen that has created a dead zone. You plan to use this for a septic waste site, as the conditions will create stable storage for any toxic or other useless byproducts from your organic matter processing. So that sounds like way before septic is what it is now. So that's very interesting. Oh yeah, that's the end. I guess Nest is a bit more interesting to me than North Shelf at the moment. Nest Planetary Survey. The Nest is a rogue planet that was likely ejected from its star system around 50,000 years ago. Absent a sun, its natural ocean froze over and most life forms on it went extinct. It was then that its natural internal heat kicked into overdrive, opening hydrothermal vents that provided energy for the remaining deep-sea organisms to survive. These life forms have undergone unusually rapid evolution and divergence since then, creating a wide array of flora and fauna that currently populate the planet. Perhaps in response to this internal ecosystem, the shell's thickness fluctuates regularly, creating cycles or seasons that can be used to measure time. This can be compared to the molting of a shell. Notably, most stress occurs around the polar ends. It's unclear whether the planet's magnetic field contributes to this process. The topic may be worth further research to determine why the poles are unusually offset compared to other planets you've observed. So yeah, that's what a molt is. It's, I suppose, a season. It's not exactly a year, I don't think, based on the context. Or maybe it is close to a year. Anyway, a molt refers to the planet, not, as I thought at first during testing, that they measure their own lifespan in the number of molts that they've gone through, which would also make sense. That's kind of neat. Neural shielding research. Sentry documents your research into neural shielding. You looked into how the eels protected the natural networks in the nest with myelin sheaths. That's what Jin was talking about. Something to prevent signals from jumping to other synapses. Ugh, I don't know. You fragmented too much. It's unacceptable. Already 4 of you have splintered off and rejected the basic mission. It may be too late to recover at this point now. I tried to get the others to come to a vote about how we should be. I? Who am I? What's happening to me? This is scary. You're closing the log now. Yeah, that's certainly different. And somewhat alarming. Maybe I'll go with neural next. I do want to show most of this, if not all of it. I read a lot of interesting things. There is this, though. Lattice Project results. The Lattice Project was conceptualized 60 days ago, and after successful implementation, you have managed to gather some results. The structural integrity needs improvement, but this construction is at a massive level rather than a microscopic one, which suggests odd scaling drift. Next, I'm assigned to run tests of shaping silicon and rubbers, other necessary materials for the current stage of the project. Oh, right. Even though precautions were taken, you splintered off, and several of you are also present in the upper layers of the planet. You're looking into more advanced neural shielding now. Am I surprised, however? Despite splintering off, I seem to be stable for now. Usually splinters at Homeworld fizzle out after a few dozen days, and other splinters have expressed stress at the situation they find themselves in. I was deemed the most stable for this task, while you managed the others. This was an anticipated issue with the mission, but I don't understand why. Is it the distance? Is it out of habit? Say even more about that. I assume that has to do with the previous 12 looper drones, I think. There are a lot of keywords in this call. Maybe I can go with some of these. Glitches. Maybe more on the glitches would be interesting. Or maybe that was all. I do like the keywords getting grayed out. Eventually you're gonna run out of options and it'll funnel you towards what you're supposed to do. No real difference between eel and eels, I suppose. Makes enough sense. I think this is just gonna be the calls with Jin, yeah. Scavengers, that's an interesting one, maybe. Nope. A lot of these only have one entry, I suppose. Singular glitch. Yep, still just that. Okay. Oh, there is North Shelf as well. Just in case it's audible, I want to apologize. My stomach is acting up. It's just one thing after another. Today wasn't the best of days for me, but oh well. Aha! Benthic ecology. The nest contains a benthic ecosystem that feeds off of the geothermal energy produced by the planet's core. Additionally, hydrothermal black smokers produce chemical mixtures that sustain bacteria and scavenging fauna nearby. Unlike North Shelf, this particular solution is unfortunately toxic to your biology, and thus cannot be repurposed for subsistence. This type of ecosystem has been discovered before on other planets, albeit only at a microscopic scale. Within the nest, however, it is macroscopic. Some of the basal matter engages in swarming behaviors, as seen above. It's only when the swarm splits that the matter begins to differentiate itself. Not all of the oceanic crust houses basal matter, as activity tends to predictably congregate around major vent openings. And submantle parasites. I think this was mentioned in dialogue with some of the characters. I think Coraline brought that up, or was it in the radio? Something like that. The stuff feeding off of worm. A small population of leechfish have been discovered within Mantle, congregated around Worm's nest. Worm can act as an interstellar vector of unusual organic life forms due to their large size and proclivity to visit many potential planets before settling on one for a nest. That's a pretty important detail about Worm. These parasites have been an issue on Homeworld and require regular vigilance to address and remove. Although anticipated, you will have to begin producing a regular supply of anti-parasitic solution at North Shelf to keep yourself healthy. You'll also likely need to produce anti-parasitic solution for the worm as well, to make sure its microbiome is stable and sterile before operations begin. Well, I should obviously search worm now. Huh. Well, if that's all on worm. The cephalopods definitely interest us. I think worms ends up with the same entries. Yeah. Homeworld, however, should be something. Cephalopod autobiology. This entry outlines the nature of cephalopods, the type of life form you are. Although there were other races on your homeworld, your ability to successfully integrate yourself with your own kind has allowed you full control of your planet. Your current mission is to find other planets that could potentially house your mind, as well as means to continue shaping the rest of the universe outside your local system. You have sent out scouts to perform this search. Each scout is outfitted with equipment that will allow it to naturally fill an environment. Scout. Mission is also a big one, but scout documentation. This entry outlines the specifications of scouts. Every scout is outfitted with a warp drive, as well as a small external shell and a miniature brain. By entangling points in rapid succession and boosting off of that momentum, faster than light travel of small objects is possible. Out of the tests conducted so far, one has been able to circulate within greater than 3 solar radii. The nest, however, is at much greater distance than this. Because of the energy required, this is effectively a one-way trip. Carrying more matter than required would likely instantly destroy the payload. It will give a period of 15 years for the completion of the mission. If no transmissions are sent back, you will send another batch of scouts. Alternatively, transmissions report that the nest is excessively dangerous. You will look into other potential project sites instead. Shouldn't that be if transmissions report that the nest is excessively dangerous? I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking. It just seems a bit off. Nest discovery. This entry outlines the discovery of the nest and the subsequent mission. The nest was discovered by your long-range scanners, LRS, 1 year ago. It is a rogue planet within the Benthic Nebula, isolated from any nearby star for hundreds of light years. A thick icy shell covers its oceanic surface, shielding the life within from meteor strikes and cosmic radiation. The nest contains one embryonic stage astroworm, which was laid around 30 years ago. An adult stage astroworm has been suspected to be within the planetary range, but no other viable project candidates were detected. 13 scouts have been to the nest with warp drives. One scout was reported missing, likely an issue with temporal overflow. It shouldn't be long before you can recover it. I think things are becoming a bit clearer now. Maybe not all of the details, but I think so far you can basically piece together what the cephalopods are doing. Mission is... Maybe I'll go astroworm first, but I do think mission was important. Or it could be that astroworm just... Oh, no. Astroworm documentation. I thought it just pointed to this one. Again. This entry details the unique properties that brought the astroworm, and thus the nest, to your attention. These worms can travel between stars, making them one of the few known truly galactic life forms. Their life cycle involves traveling from their local system and laying their eggs in the mantles of planets, where they hatch and start the cycle anew. They contain large amounts of idle brain matter to maintain a mental map of stars in space, which makes them ideal for form shaping. Artificially kickstarting the life cycle process will also help the exponential growth of their range and thus their effective range across the galaxy. Form shaping is kind of interesting, actually, before I move on to mission. Form shaping documentation and Uroboros project. This entry outlines the process of form shaping. You can do this basic process with your mind. It lets you create any inorganic form or material you desire by shaping point matter. The points you observe become entangled with the points within your brain, allowing thought to manipulate and modify their spatial positions. Because your ocean is 1/4 brain matter by mass, form shaping your local system is effortless. However, the farther your target area is from your central mind, the more severe the loss of precision is. Attempts to send your mind beyond the local system have resulted in system failure. Only prohibitively small collections of brain matter survive cognizant. This is why you want to find portable brain matter that will allow you to form shape outside of your local system. That is the purpose of the Uroboros project. But before I check that out... Oh, scouts also leads to that. Huh. Guess there are a few different ways you can end up here, but first I'm gonna check mission. Oh, nothing new. Fair enough. Maybe scouts doesn't work. Oh well. Might as well read more. Drilling procedures. As with other planets, some amount of drilling is required to access regions of the nest that would otherwise be inaccessible. The nest contains both a thick icy outer shell, as well as several layers of sub-oceanic crust within that require both drilling and shaft maintenance. One of your scouts will have to stay in the outer shell chamber to maintain access, otherwise there is a high likelihood of rupture. Breaching mantle will similarly require you to shape a valve to regulate heat. You can be retrieved from mantle once the requisite experiments are complete, but you have to stay put until they conclude. I know I'm ignoring the Uroboros project entry. It's obviously very important. Maybe there are a few other things I can read first. Oh. Nests. Does that lead to something different? This is definitely so much better than the version of this I did. Hydrothermal. Wait, what was that? Ah, right. Benthic is the nebula we're in, as per the intro of the game. Benthic Nebula Survey. The Benthic Nebula sits below the outer arm of the Chiral Galaxy, I think. Within lies the nest, which likely was ejected from the Chiral Galaxy and caught by the nebula sometime afterwards. The nebula's unusual position makes it attractive to astroworms, as they are shielded from potential organic and stellar threats, but can return to the galaxy when ready. Stars and planets are still being born within the Benthic Nebula, and some systems may enter the orbit of the galaxy when they are mature. I think the only thing is if like me you read other entries before you actually read Uroboros project, then they'll be the keywords that led you there in the first place will be grayed out. But it's a good thing I remember. That's what it was, right? Yup. I think there's still other entries I haven't read, but I think that's more than enough. I think I read a lot of the important ones. There might just be more bits of lore on specific areas, maybe a conversation between the characters as well. One of those calls that was recorded. But enough. Uroboros project. This entry summarizes the Uroboros project. The Uroboros project is your first attempt to extend your influence outside of your local system. Within the nest lies the worm, which can be inoculated into your mind to facilitate form shaping. 13 Astronautilus scouts were sent out to find, inoculate, and retrieve the worm. This will not be a painless process. You've compiled a module to train yourself on the usage of the tools you will need to make your way through the nest. Demonstrate your understanding and you'll be provided the fuel necessary to lift off and begin this mission. Uroboros training. Click above to enter. The point of entry is above. Once you enter, there's no going back. Continue at will. This is what I meant at the very start of this playthrough when I mentioned, oh, I see what you're doing, Neo. Bookends. This is the interface that started the game's tutorial, and it's also the interface that starts the end. Kill the creatures. I forgot how quickly you're in danger here. It's the weapons from the labs, and again, be careful, because you can hurt yourself with these weapons. Very nearly shot myself there. You need to keep your cursor within the radius to actually do this. Lots of cyclefish here. It's kind of cool. I don't believe these things show up anywhere else. They're shrimp, I think. Yeah. Memory. Main memory. Achievement. Discover main memory. This is the true final level of the game, and brand new to the update. Also, the hit I took during that opening bit did count, so be careful there. It's kind of difficult to chain in here because you need to keep track of these weapons and the fact that they have friendly fire. I highly recommend ending chains at just over 150 so you can heal yourself. And yeah, this whole area is unaffected by anything you've acquired prior in a run. It's kind of disconnected, because you can keep trying this over and over again after you've reached the database for the first time, which is kind of cool. Yeah, you do have 2 bombs, and then there are these mines, and a brand new enemy type here. Just wanted to let them shoot. Oh, the bullets are lingering. That's something that Neo noticed. That's not supposed to happen, but it has to do with, oh, the crystals. And yeah, the mines transform the crystals instead of destroying them. Careful where you place them. You don't want to be anywhere in the blast radius. The entire circle will hurt you. This part. Some of these fish are not colorless. They're your targets. I think there's a bit of randomness to which ones you need to hit. Oh, that's bad. Sometimes you might be able to do this in a single mine if I understand correctly. Ah, my timing is terrible here. This might take a couple of tries, this whole area. It's not easy. Really? What am I doing? Okay, there we go. Oh, now the screenshot went through. What the heck? That's strange. I guess Neo still hasn't worked out all the kinks with Steam's features. Yeah, this is a heck of a final area. Every single enemy, some new enemies, and the gimmick of using these weapons. Obviously you want to hit as many things with one mine as you can. But that's also fine. I died here quite a bit during testing, not gonna lie. It's not easy. Oh, I just so happened to line up that rocket properly. Cool. Onward. And that's the last weapon, I think. As with the rest, don't shoot yourself. Oh, chump. And there's this thing. Although it doesn't shoot bullets. Apparently that was kind of insane when Neo tried it himself, so I was told. It's not too bad though. And then there's this thing. It's like a big version of the virus enemies and relays. Worth noting, initially there was an effect that was apparently really taxing on performance because I experienced slowdown when fighting this mini-boss the first time, after which Neo changed it to this circle that you may have seen in a few places in other fights. They're basically walls of wave-like interference on the sides that were keeping you towards the middle, is what it was. Oh, and now we have relays on top of all this. Uh-oh. For some reason, the relays made me think I could shoot, but I can't. I can't even explain why my brain would do that. Okay, I'm keeping up. Don't feel bad if you die here. Like I said, I did. This is not an accurate representation of what it's like to play this for the first time. Also, having lattice enemies alongside relay stuff is... it almost feels cursed, honestly. But I like it. Oh yeah, I made it! Huh. I've definitely gotten better at that. Fuel sequence. Fuel is ready. Primed. Fuel installed. Is that me? Am I you? I don't know. I think I am you. And you are me. But I don't think you're the same cephalopod that started this mission. Is that bad? I don't think so. Is this the end? No, not yet. But I think we should go back. Go back to the other cephalopods, to the rest of you. They were mistaken. You were mistaken. There are other minds out there. It's not just us. They weren't able to understand. But I, you, we've been through it ourselves. You can show them who lives on Carcina. That the creatures here, they live and think and have their own lives. That they aren't just automata running on instinct. Even though each mind is short-lived, they have the same power to shape the world that you do. It would be remiss to deny them that. You have to take this memory back to yourself and change your own mind. But only you can do that. You have to bring it on your own. Promise me you'll do that, okay? See you on the other side. We're back in the hub, or if you remember, these don't work anymore. Can't check the Bestiary, can't use the terminal. This is the interior of the ship that we crashed on the planet with. And yeah, this is, I think this is exactly why the game's intro was changed. Well, I guess it's the lower part. Technically, this is still inside the ship, right? Well, let's launch. System online. Fuel acquired. Press space to launch. That can't be good. The mission isn't over yet. Astronautilus. I really appreciate the title drop, and I have no doubt this was influenced by Monolith, the boss Monolith. But it's really cool. And yeah, the heads-up display is gone, only the bomb and life display remain, so there's technically more space on screen. And of course this music has the main motif, why wouldn't it? The backgrounds, I still love all of this. Yeah, this fight's gonna be consistently hard because of, well, the nature of the final area. And if you die here, you do have to do that again, so yeah. I think it's only fair. This is the final marathon of challenges. There is no you. These are really cool. This particular phase was completely different, but maybe I'll elaborate on that later. Seeing all of the dead drones in the background is really cool, though. And they turn into these other models. And again, trying not to shoot yourself is part of the challenge. Duh. Those trails are bullets, so be careful. And those are AoE explosions, also. And this is the title screen, which is amazing. Surrender. Let's see how long I can last against this. Oh, that's not a good start. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said that just yet, but yeah, if it's not obvious, you're not surviving that. No, the mission is over. Carcina is no longer on limits. It's time to go home. And now we fight with the weapons. We don't need a drone. Our mind still exists and can conjure an endless arsenal, which is a really cool idea. I do like this a lot. So these patterns are kind of made for both regular gameplay and this. Mission isn't over. And yeah, you do use every single weapon in this boss fight. This bit's really cool. The change in the music is also really nice. And there we are. Solipsism beat Astronautilus. What are these colors? These feelings? These memories? Memories of Carcina. I see now. All of your memories. This is what Carcina is really like. And these other minds you've met, they are friends of... I'm not sure about this. What is the most appropriate thing to say here? I think I'm gonna say ours because it's pretty clear that the ship and the player character basically become two different people at this point. And that's what I was thinking the first time I got to this. They are friends of ours. Us, is it? It is an us. That includes those in Carcina. It's sad to leave them behind. We hope to return one day. You, I, we need to go back. Need to tell everyone about this nest, this garden of minds, this me and you. Let's go. Sonder, reach the credits. Oh, I think that's all the achievements. Alright. Yeah, that's the end of the game. Where do I even begin? First of all, I love that image. That's great. Second, how surreal. I am a super tester. That's a Dumbo octopus, by the way. Neo asked me what I wanted to be, and that's what I said. I really love the images and the credits. It's always nice to see an aftermath of the plot. And about the vocals there in that ending song, Neo straight up confirmed to me when I said in the testing footage, were you perhaps influenced by Void Stranger there? And yeah, it's very much supposed to be like Void Stranger's song. If you know, you know. Thank you for playing, and thank you for everything, Neo. This has been thoroughly enjoyable from beginning to end. I think there are even still some kinks to be worked out, but hey, Neo isn't quite finished anyway. And neither is this video, because I want to look at some things before I call it. Yeah, there are the cosmetics. I believe all of these are independent. I think this is different from the old cosmetic system. I seem to remember having to pay pearls that were amassed over the course of runs. What was I using? Oh, I think I was using bubblegum, actually. Or ultraviolet. I actually can't. Oh, they're slightly different. I'll go with that, I suppose. Oh, it even changes the HUD. Cool. I think all of these can show up in the flatworm races. That's cool. But I'm just trying to recreate the cosmetics that I was using. Vibe. Are those also the names they have as racers? I'm pretty sure I didn't even use a hat. Oh, or maybe I did use that actually, now that I think about it. Really cool. I'm definitely gonna mess around with this later when I keep playing. Ha! I know what that's supposed to be. And that, obviously. Nice. So you can have a Nautilus following you, and one is a hat as well. That's fun. Just wanted to see if there's anything new here, really. What'll I do? I guess headphones is fine. And I will have a quick look at the bestiary. I think I might have missed an enemy or two. Rustling, toxic because of the rust they eat. Rustfish, the toxins from the rust manifested as a method of self-defense. Jellyfish, mindless microbe grazers. Sponge, full of bioelectric bacteria that allow them to shoot energy bolts. Piercelet, fry of pierce fins, easily provoked. Pierce fin, eating sponges let them shoot laser bolts. Ongoing feud with crush maws. Crushlet, fry of crush maws, territorial and aggressive. Crush maw, hardy and durable. Ongoing feud with pierce fins. Excellent. Don't worry, the small fry will grow into its mechanical shell. Exobit. Repurpose cephalopod technology for offense and defense. Arrays. Finlet. Sit at the bottom of the food chain. Finfish. Raise coral and algae in herds. Anemone. House chum. The two share a mutualistic relationship. Chum. Sociable and hardy, chum stimulate array's ecosystem. Snapper. Paired with sniffers when hunting. Buddy. Excellent playmates. Husklet. Scrounges the seafloor for leftovers. Huskeye. Keeps the population of chum in check. Seahorse. Spits out whatever it can't swallow. Coral. Absorb environmental toxins. Septic. Swaplet. Originate from outside the planet. Swapfish. Can remain dormant and undetected for molts, even in harsh conditions. Cyclefish. Devious in nature, these opportunistic pack predators rule septic. Redhead. Volatile from toxin overdose. Aha, I missed one of these. I actually can't remember. Oh no, this one leaves behind bullets as it moves. That's what it was. It replaces the redhead. Oh well. I guess that's one small surprise if you play the game yourself. Blobberlet. Refuse to migrate from septic despite the poor water quality. Blobberfish. Hardy enough to weaponize the ambient toxins. Cubzoa. Smarter and more dangerous than its relatives in polar. Shellfish. Tragically allergic to itself. I guess it's worth noting. I just wanted to read all of these, but in this case I'll say before the update, shellfish took minimal damage if you shot them directly, and then they took way more damage if you reflected their projectiles back at them. And they didn't have that second sprite where their armor breaks, because that wasn't a thing. The update added that sprite and changed how they work. I think the idea is that you have to engage with their gimmick in order to kill them. You can't just shoot them directly, which I think is a decent change. I forget if I mentioned that earlier, but anyway, yeah. Relays. Spotlet. Feed on bioelectric algae. Spot fish. Their bioluminescence is used to court mates. Seeker. Domesticated by eels to track and neutralize intruders. Sentry. Living batteries, but easily disturbed. Phage. Stragglers dependent on the eel network for survival. Diode. Can be used as a makeshift circuit breaker. Eel. These eels are assigned to defend their species' territory. Wire spinner. Expanding territory demands new electrical infrastructure. Thermal. Kitlet. Primitive folds of marrow. Or, wait, that's probably kitelet. And then kitefish. Yeah, they even look like it. Perhaps the first life forms on Carcina. Blazelet. Subsist off the planet's heat and marrow. Blazer. Escape neighboring regions that were being overtaken by crystal. I think it bears repeating again that these two enemies have become ridiculously easy and could probably do with a bit of a buff. Yeah, the marrow makes things much tougher in thermal in general, but I don't think that would be too bad if these enemies shot some more bullets or maybe had part of their gimmick restored. Their bullets used to reach the edge of the screen and then redirect back towards you, I think. And the Blazer's bullets, I'm pretty sure, would split. Coil frame. Used to regulate heat of mechanical operations. Ah, that's what that's supposed to be. I don't think I ever read this before. Marrow. The source of all life on Carcina. Sawfish. Like Lancer, these fish have weaponized their hybrid nature. Smokejaw. Attracts vent feeders with the smoke it produces, then strikes. Louse. Parasites that rely on their host to survive. Brainstem. Whether they originated from thermal or arrays is unclear. Lattice. Boltlet. No external sensory organs. Navigates by electroreception. Excuse me. Boltfish. While most life migrated to relays or thermal when crystallization begun, boltfish stayed. Crystalling. The crystals will eventually overtake its body. Crystalfish. The mechanism for the growths is unknown, neither organic or mechanical. I think that's alluding to oh, what was the term? Oh no. I just read it in the in the database. The process with worm that lets them materialize things. Wait, isn't that what it was called? Materialization? I think that's the cause of the crystals on these guys. Crystal mine. They regularly materialize and self-destruct. Crystal growth. Gradually fatal. Snipe. A distant relative of eels. Mini drone Q. Bear no resemblance to any extant species of cephalopod. I'm still not sure if that's a mistake or not. Existent, I would assume. I don't know. Maybe it's just a word I don't know. Max drone Q. Instead of crystals, this crystalling's growths followed their intended design. And ended up killing the fish, unfortunately. Glitch. Aside mantle, lattice is where the power of worm is strongest. It's cool that there's an entry for the glitches in lattice. Leechling. Parasitic creatures that hitched a ride on mantle worm. Leechfish. Although benign, leechfish are present across the galaxy. Gulletling. Where there's food, gulletfish will follow. Gulletfish. Known to cannibalize others of its kind. Cadaver. Its DNA matches no known living creature. Hellion. Technically a type of spider. Ah, this is the mini-boss I missed. Yeah. I was thinking maybe I missed two, but... no, that was before I encountered Hellion once, so... yeah. Helminth. This metaparasite is biologically immortal. Ah, the drones have their own category. I forgot about that. Chassis. Your beating heart. Mini drone. Your eyes and ears. Oh, I missed a few variants. Well, I guess I didn't play Mantle that many times. Across multiple runs, you'd see all of these. It's interesting that even Mantle has a decent amount of variation. Max drone. your sharp beak stained with prey. Another variant of Max Drone. Your deadly poison, momentarily lethal. Protocol S. You tried to bring yourself together. Protocol O. You wondered what was going wrong. Protocol C. You would never find out. And I would have encountered Protocol N, but then I accidentally did Overkill 1. So I guess there's approximately enough cause for one more run. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I certainly wouldn't mind doing more. Mantleworm, our greatest failure. Boy, that means something now, doesn't it? And yeah, Mantleworm gets its own category, because it's huge. Zone 0x memory. That's what the patch notes were about. I didn't know it was considered 0x, so I was wondering what that was referring to. Painted Warbler. Before their extinction, painted warblers would migrate to the shell of Carcina to sing. Dendritic coral. Their sensitivity granted them telepathy with other coral. Wind Eater. While Septic was still a desert, Wind Eaters drifted above, eating dust. Oh, I think you could see the silhouette of this when... in that entry about before Septic was what it is now. That's cool. Greater Phage. Long gun agents of Carcina's natural immune system. Whirling Thoughts. A flowing stream of consciousness and memory. Gathering Feast. They digest the least nutrients of a meal. The last nutrients of a meal. Damn it. I've been at this for a while. Yeah, it's all the memory stuff. I think there's just enough new stuff, and the way everything from the previous areas is rearranged is really cool. Man, even Neozoid did the concept of the Binding of Isaac's The Void better. So that's two randomized shmups that one-upped Isaac in that regard. And Astronautilus. I like that that's just the logo from the title screen, but it's still really cool. I may have played another shmup unrelated to this or Star of Providence that did something like that, and it was awesome. Oh yeah, the bosses. Crusher. Massive Crushmaw Matriarch. Powerful crushing attack. Piercer. Overgrown pierce fin gorged on sponges. Shoots piercing bolts. Exopod. Migratory pests that recirculates scrap technology. Wow, that really stopped me in my tracks there. Polypa. When isolated, Coral loses the ability to distinguish friend and foe. Lancer. This adult chum loves improvised murder. Lionel. This invasive species has a sick sense of humor. Boxer. Watch out for its boxing claws. Ampray. Ampray broadcasts the eel image in culture and combat. Dynamo. Dynamo interfaces between new and old technologies. Orb Weaver. Orb Weaver weaves the web of Relay's electric network. Why didn't I realize that? That's so obvious. I see. Kind of funny that you don't even see any body segments. It's just the head sprite. But Orb Weaver is huge and simulated in real time, so I understand. Driller. Cephalopod technology infested by a colony of tube worms. Yep. It's not the drills, it's the worms that are trying to kill you. Cyphor. Colonial bacteria that achieved symbiosis with fluorite. Ah. That's kind of interesting. I didn't even consider that. Is this a new entry? Because, well, maybe Neo thought of this before he added fluorite as an item, as a balancing mechanism. Chimera. Marrow remembers. Simple and to the point, I like it. Stargazer. Ad Astra, of course. Mimic. They move from cache to cache, consuming the pearls inside. I was holding off to say this because I thought it was going to happen, but after the quest, there's a small chance of encountering Mimic in any cache node, I'm pretty sure. And if you beat it, you get 3 items. One of them is the one you would have gotten on its own if Mimic wasn't there. So always shoot the cache in a cache node before you pick up the item, because then you'll have an opportunity to reroll 3 items at once. Just a bit of strategy for you. Shanjil, Pimbus's worst nightmare. And that's everything. Oh! I just wanted to position myself here. What is this? I can't seem to interact with that. Huh. I assume that's gonna be... I assume that's gonna be how you access the new hard mode whenever that's ready. So I guess I'll explain now. Well, actually, there isn't much to explain because I'm not sure how much of what I discussed with Neo is actually going to make it in. But let's just say he's going to redo Black Coffee and make it significantly more interesting. That's for sure. And, oh, while I'm at it, I should explain. The phase of Astronautilus where you shoot those drones with the weapons that can also hurt you, that used to be different. Those weapons weren't there. Instead, you still had the background with all of the dead drones, but it was a bunch of bullet patterns, and what would essentially happen is the ship would kill you, and then you would possess a different Nautilus from all the ones scrolling across the screen. So you'd essentially be forcibly teleported, and your life would be reset to, I think, 3 out of 4, but I'm not sure. Which was a little... It was cool. I got what Neo was going for. He was about to explain it to me, and then I stopped him and said, "Oh, wait, the ship is killing you and forcibly transferring your consciousness, effectively teleporting you around the screen." And he's like, "Yup, that's it." And I'm like, that's pretty cool. But in practice, it was kind of jarring. I think I was full on life when it happened for the first time, and since I went from 4 to 3, I thought I got hit by something, and I was confused. For what it's worth, it was probably harder than what that phase is now, but now that phase is introducing the weapons into the boss fight, which leads well into the final phase, so I understand what Neo's going for. But the reason I brought this up when talking about the new hard mode is because he may include the final boss as a part of that hard mode, and maybe some of that's going to come back. As well as a few other things, like the pattern that's supposed to kill you. I think we were talking about Neo potentially doing a version of that pattern that you are actually supposed to survive, with you dying there actually triggering a failure state. But these are just a couple of small things that may or may not happen. There are a few others, but I'll just stop there. I did ask Neo in advance if I can bring this stuff up, so... Although maybe I didn't get specific enough about those details. Sorry. The other thing which I can definitely bring up as super chain is what Neo's calling it. Essentially, the idea is that you can keep a chain going throughout the entire game. So when you do the QuickTime event to cache a chain, you just get the rewards and the chain keeps going. I didn't understand all the details of how exactly that's going to work, but I do love the idea. I think it would keep track of your highest chain, so that could be a sort of scoring system that gives the game more replay value, and I'm all for it. But yeah, I guess I'll just quickly look. Yep, I have all the achievements. So I guess I'm pretty much done for now. When it comes to what's next for me and my channel, I could start the series that I recorded a couple videos for that I intended to do before this series. Although I might take a break for a week or so because I have 2 or 3 games that I want to focus on for myself. So we'll see. Anyway, for the last time, at least for now, thank you for watching.